Good morning, friends, and welcome to Path and Perspective. Today, as we enjoy this Labor Day holiday, surrounded by family and the simple joys of a long weekend, I want us to pause. Every year, on the first Monday of September, we celebrate Labor Day, a tribute not just to a holiday, but to the triumphs of everyday working men and women in America. Every time you work an 8-hour day instead of 14, every time your child goes to school instead of a factory, every time you receive overtime pay or take a sick day, you're benefiting from a battle that started over 150 years ago. This is the story of American workers who stood together, fought together, and sometimes died together to create the middle class we know today. The journey began in the late 1700s, when journeyman shoemakers in Philadelphia formed the first union, launching a historic fight for fair pay and dignity. The American dream, for many, was a waking nightmare. By the 1800s, as factories replaced farms, 13, 14, even 16-hour workdays were common. Laborers, often including children, faced grueling, unsafe conditions, sparking widespread calls to organize and protest. Early strikes, such as the 1835 Philadelphia General Strike and the famous Haymarket Affair of 1886, ignited public demands for lower hours and safer workplaces, and remind us today of the real risks and even lives given to win equity. The year is 1866. The newly organized National Labor Union called on Congress to mandate an 8-hour workday. The 8-hour workday was secured for federal workers in 1868 and was made the standard nationally through the Fair Labor Standards Act of 1938, ensuring not just reasonable hours, but the right to rest and family time. The fight for the 8-hour workday became the rallying cry of the American labor movement, but it came at a cost. On May 4, 1886, during the Haymarket Affair in Chicago, workers demanding fair hours faced deadly violence. This was also the year of the founding of the American Federation of Labor, AFL, focusing on concrete economic gains. Lives were lost, but their sacrifice lit a fire that would burn for decades. But in the face of such injustice, a collective whisper began to rise. Workers, realizing their individual cries were unheard, began to organize. They formed unions. These weren't just clubs. They were a desperate, courageous act of unity, of demanding to be seen, heard, and treated with dignity. This was the birth of the labor movement, and its early years were marked by brutal struggle and immense sacrifice. Men and women literally gave their lives on picket lines and in battles for basic rights, fighting corporate greed that saw human labor as nothing more than a disposable commodity. In 1916, the Adamson Act gave the 8-hour-a-day and overtime campaign a real boost when it was passed, specifically aimed at railroad workers. While adults fought for fair hours, America's children were trapped in a nightmare of industrial exploitation. The Keating-Owen Child Labor Act of 1916 limited the working hours of children and forbade the interstate sale of goods produced by child labor. Labor unions didn't just fight for their own members, they fought for the future. Social Security, 1935, unemployment insurance, and health and safety protections, all advanced by union influence and tireless advocacy during the New Deal era. Laws specified a maximum workday of 8 hours for children, required proof of age, and outlawed night work. The Keating-Owen Act of 1916-18 attempts to curb child labor but is struck down by the Supreme Court. But by 1938, Fair Labor Standards Act, FLSA, caps workweek at 40 hours, sets minimum wage, overtime, and ends most child labor. The 1940s through 1960s marked the golden age of American unionism. The share of workers covered by a collective bargaining agreement was 27.0% in 1979. Nearly 1 in 3 workers had union protection. A decline follows, especially in the private sector. Why? Because of a pay gap, globalization, aggressive corporate campaigns, regulatory rollbacks. Decline in laws that once bolstered collective power. Executive compensation soars while middle-class wages stagnate, an inequality gap growing even as worker rights recede. Their fight was not in vain. Through relentless pressure, strikes, and political action, unions became the unsung architects of the American middle class. Think about it. The 8-hour workday? A union demand. The weekend? A union achievement. Federal holidays? Like the very Labor Day we enjoy today, a direct result of labor advocacy. Child labor laws, ensuring children earn schools, not factories, driven by unions. Unemployment insurance, a safety net for when times get tough, pushed by the labor movement. Social Security, offering dignity in retirement, a core part of that same era's progressive reforms, strongly supported by unions. Even the very concept of workplace safety regulations, something we often take for granted, was born from the blood and sweat of union battles for better conditions. These aren't just historical footnotes. These are the very cornerstones of the quality of life most Americans expect today. For union members, these benefits often extend even further. They've secured better wages, comprehensive health insurance, retirement plans, paid sick leave, and transparent grievance procedures through what's known as a collective bargaining agreement, or CBA. This is where their collective voice truly shines, negotiating for better terms than any individual worker could achieve alone. In a union, your worth isn't dictated solely by a company's bottom line, it's negotiated by a unified force. Yet, as we celebrate these monumental achievements, a disquieting trend casts a long shadow. Since the 1970s and 80s, we've seen a significant shift. This was the era when deunionization began in earnest, fueled by a changing economy, political shifts, and aggressive anti-union tactics by corporations. Laws that once strengthened workers' rights to organize were weakened or rolled back. And what happened? As union membership declined, so too did the collective bargaining power of the American worker. Despite ballooning executive pay, CEOs now earn nearly 300 times the average worker, and CEO pay has soared over 1,000% since 1978. While worker raises barely outpace inflation, union power has struggled to keep up. This growing inequality underscores why unions, now more than ever, remain essential. So this Labor Day, let's remember the sacrifices, the struggles, and the victories. Let's recognize that the comforts we enjoy didn't just appear. They were fought for by ordinary people who dared to demand a better path and perspective for all. As we face new economic challenges and an evolving workforce, the lessons from labor history remain profoundly relevant. Our collective voice still holds power. Understanding this legacy is not just about the past, it's about shaping a more equitable future. Until next time, keep your perspective clear and your path open.